2014 was a very noisy year for programmatic television. You had so many people coming out, making announcements, like you said, posturing about capabilities. Really confusing year. I think a lot of agencies and advertisers were doing a lot of test and learn, trying to understand what that actually means. 2015, we believe, is going to be a big breakout year in terms of activation, selecting platforms, moving more budget from upfronts into those kind of investment channels, but more importantly, changing the way that television is evaluated, moving beyond age, gender, demography, activating first-party data to target, but also to measure and attribute. So I guess for a definition of programmatic television, it's really using the automation, the intelligence, the large data processing and activation to every step of the process. So from planning, from targeting, and then also in the execution phase. And our platform is set up in a modular fashion. So we have the planning, optimization, and attribution tools to enable programmatic approach to buying and measuring in any channel. So an agency could license that tool and use it to inform how they buy upfront, scatter, local, or they can also do an audience buy through us where we actually bring the inventory to the table and execute the buy against that audience. A lot of agencies are doing test and learn there and running that in parallel to their direct television acquisition through their relationships with networks or with MVPDs. I think in general, I moderated a panel back at Adweek in late September and had representatives from Aegis, from Cara, from Initiative, and from Havas. And I think the panel generally agreed that in the 15-16 upfront, we're probably looking at somewhere in the 1% to 3% range of total dollars being carved out to be spent through some sort of programmatic channel, whether that's actually buying from us or other providers in the space, or using the tools to help inform what they're doing. So, still fairly nascent, but 1% to 3% of a $70 billion business is nothing to sneeze at. That's, the beginnings of a larger business. I think as you move into the 16, 17 upfront, you'll see those percentages really scale to 3 to 5 to 10%. In terms of activations, we've been working across a lot of the holding companies. Give some examples. We did a large campaign for one of the top 3 domestic auto manufacturers in the US in Q3. And these investments are still, in the 6 figures. They're moving into the low 7 figures. But I think the learnings of what we're doing and what we're incrementally delivering to how television's been bought and measured and optimized in the past is really where we're starting to prove out the efficacy of why anybody would invest the time or money in programmatic television. And we're seeing results, 30+% in brand awareness. We're starting to see that impact. We're also starting to see 25% plus improvements in accuracy of targeting. So I think these are the beginnings of understanding why we should be doing this, and is opening the door to this practice becoming a much larger part of not just programmatic investments, but looking at the entire media landscape and how we plan, how we buy, how we measure, and how we attribute. From AdaptTV's history and now part of AOL Platforms, our overall approach has always been a very open and agnostic approach to developing software. So we have all of the tools. So for example, in digital video, we have a DSP, we have an SSP, we run a marketplace. In television, similar fashion, tools for the buy side, the sell side, and operating in the middle. But none of those are a closed system. An agency, a publisher, a media company, they can interact with those tools with whichever pieces they want to use. So if they're using a competitor, we can also plug into that. So I think our open approach to that, as well as open approach to data, has put us in a really unique position. So we are all developing towards One by AOL, where all of these pieces, AdaptTV, Vidable, Gravity, all of the acquisitions that we have made, Precision Demand, start to fold into one unified platform with the ultimate goal of an agency or an advertiser or a publisher having this unified view of a consumer, so we can start to manage media in video or in other formats across all of the different devices and platforms that consumers use. Television, household addressable, VOD, mobile, tablet. That's really kind of that proverbial holy grail of where we need to get to. All of these things being done in a silo just doesn't work, and it makes it incredibly laborious and difficult for marketers to execute against their goals without having some sort of a unified view of the consumer, but also the technology to be able to execute on that intelligence. On the buy side, we have, our tools have been licensed by the agencies. So our video DSP has been adopted by the majority of the holding companies out there running all their video. And this is not just programmatic or exchange-based, RTV video. This is managing everything from ad serving to decisioning to buying in the Adapt TV marketplace across any exchange, Google, AdX, SpotX, all of the different inventory sources, and now really moving into that more premium reserve. So not necessarily a biddable environment, but using programmatic decisioning to decide what what creative is deployed on which impression, coming from premium publishers out there like full episode player inventory. So we've been licensing those tools on a technology fee basis for a few years now. Same approach in television. We are doing a lot of business with agencies and advertisers where they are buying audience and media from us, but really moving into what we think is a much more sustainable and significantly larger business is licensing those tools so they can use that intelligence on everything they buy. Rather than playing in just that 3 to 5%, why not give the tools and participate in adding incremental value to the other 95%? Attribution seems to be emerging as this fabric that kind of ties all mediums together. We made some big investments there. We acquired Convertro last year, which in the latest Forrester report was ranked #1 or in the tops of the industry in attribution tools. So now what that does is it enables us to really have this universal agnostic view of performance of media across all platforms and formats: search, digital video, digital display, really anything in online or offline. That's a unique intelligence and something that no one else in the industry has, to be able to tie back into all of our programmatic execution engines and decisioning engines in display and video with Adapt TV and AOP, and in linear television with Adapt TV. So it's a big focus for us. It's a big part of One by AOL, and we believe that this is where the industry is going, for a CMO or marketers in general to be able to have this broad view of how all of their media is not only performing on an ROI basis, but also how it's impacting their other media investments. And this is that shift away from media mix modeling and really bringing attribution in to advance and evolve that.